Every orchardist, from the big guys with hundreds of acres to the backyard orchardist, like a lot of us, are concerned about frost damage in the springtime. My apple trees went into full bloom about 2 days ago, and we were predicted to have a low of anywhere from 31 to 35 degrees last night. And so I was rather anxious this morning when I got up to see what the temperature was. And it looks like we've been spared. It was actually 35 about 20 minutes ago. Most of you probably know that right at daylight is when the temperature reaches its coldest point on a typical night, anyway, without some sort of a weather system coming in. So while I was putting a fire in the stove, it's April 20th and I'm making a fire in the stove, this temperature went from 35 to 34.5, so it did drop a little bit. It's probably about bottomed out. Here's the gala tree. You see the sun coming through the branches right there. No frost on the leaves, just wet. Not all of the blossoms are open. There are some waiting. Probably be open today. It's supposed to be a really nice day today, with a high in the mid-50s, lots of sunshine. A pretty good bloom on this tree. Nothing on this particular scaffold branch, but this one's late growing. I grew this one after a lot of the other ones came out, so it's got one cluster coming out here. I don't think I'm quite at full bloom yet. Not quite there. Gala got some radical pruning over the winter, because this entire limb right here, which produced so much fruit the last 2 years, was completely fire blighted. So I cut it there. I had this weak growth coming out there. I don't know if that's some kind of damage or scab, but it's been a tough year to spray. But I'm going to grow out this one for a new branch, and if that doesn't work out, I've got this one right here. I'm not taking either of them out. And I've got some younger ones coming in right here. So, hey, Gala's going to have some fruit on it, barring any more cold nights. And whatever else gets us. There's some blossom up there in the top of the tree. And then I've already got this limb right here pegged to come out. Oh, wait a minute. We're not talking about pruning today. Come out next winter. Okay, here's a Hudson's Golden Gem on M26 rootstock. Mostly tip bearing at this point. There is a short spur down here. Most of these are tips. I can see, yeah, I'll probably let the majority of these go. There's a couple up there. And produce some nice fruit on that Hudson's. Looking forward to trying that. I'm not going to show you every single tree I've got with a bloom on it, but I thought it was worth mentioning that these are Molly Merton 111 rootstocks. They were 2 years old when I bought them from Vintage Virginia Nurseries. They've been in the ground here for 2 years, and they've got blossom on them, and that's not bad for semi-dwarf. This looks like a little frost there. For a large semi-dwarf apple tree. Not at all. I've got trees. I've got a tree, the Jonathan. It's about 6 times that size. I think it's got 2 blossoms on it this year, but it was nearly destroyed by fire blight. Now here's Gold Rush. Look at what Gold Rush is doing. It's got a blossom open over there, but everything's pretty tight yet. Gold Rush, same trees, Molly Merton 111. This will be its 3rd year here. It's been in the ground 2 years here. It was 2 years old when I got it. Absolutely covered in places with blossoms. So these large semi-dwarf trees will fruit early. And Gold Rush is an early bearer anyway, and I think that helps to play into it. Now this tree, I'm not going to let it carry all of this fruit. I'll let it carry a few and try not to destroy any of the limb structure in the process. But mainly right now I want growth. You can see there's even blossoms way up here. And that would destroy the leader on that tree. Okay, we're gonna talk about one last apple tree over here. We may pick up a few others. There is frost on the ground, no doubt about that. blossoms have been spared. I think you could go down to 28. A lot of blossoms ready to open. That's a golden delicious up there. These branches down here were grafted over to Freedom when I really just felt like grafting, and did. Don't know if I would do it again. This branch is Jonifery. Don't know if I would do that again, but I'm not going to cut them out right now. Okay, over to the mystery tree, which was tagged as Royal Gala. Look how huge this tree is. I've never gotten a legitimate apple off of this tree. I've gotten several really small ones that came off early. Last year I found some in November still hanging on it, and they were very good, but they were only the size of a silver dollar, so I don't know what's going on. It gets fire blighted every year. Well, not every year, but in bad years it will get fire blighted. And I had to cut out a bunch of the limbs on this tree. I think it's got a nice structure, and it does have enough blossom on it this year that I should get apples off of this tree this year and make some kind of determination. You see some of the blight damage there. I'm looking to mitigate that this year. Here's a golden russet grafted onto a crab apple last spring, about 1 year ago. You can see 2 cleft grafts I put in there, and one here. I cut this one off. It was competing with the central leader. However, I left this side branch to grow out, and golden russet is flowering. This is 1-year-old wood. Was not even in existence last year at this time, and it's flowering. I could let it grow and produce some apples. Pucker nugget is blooming, not as much, it doesn't seem, as last year. Again, pucker nugget is a tip-bearing tree. It does have some spur blossoms on it, but most are on the tips. This tip was removed because it was almost on the ground, so there's no blossom there. Some blossom on the pucker nugget, not as much as last year. Now, oddly enough, as I sink down into the lower portion of the valley here on the orchard, or perhaps we'll just call it the bottom of the hill, I see heavy frost down here. These are definitely frosted. I just planted this tree. This is the one from Century Farm Orchard. It's a Virginia Beauty on Molly Merton 111. It's got flower on it. The bottom of this hill right here is colder than up at the top. You're not talking about a whole lot of elevation change, but it is evident in the amount of frost I see on these trees and elsewhere. So if you've got trees that are more fragile, you need to put those up at the top of your hill and put your hardier trees down towards the bottom, without a doubt, even on a small hill like this one. Definitely colder down here, and I notice it all the time when I step down off the hill right there, that it is colder in this little valley.